Okay, and we're good. All right, so you ready to knock this shiz out?
Oh, fuck. I still had a couple more games.
Okay.
Dark Souls. I'm probably never going to play it. Whatever. Did you just type it into?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Before we start getting any further into this rabbit hole.
Alrighty. Starting in three, two, one. Welcome back to another episode of the Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Over there's Knobs.
What up?
And this is probably my favorite or second favorite episode of the year, our top 10 episode. A couple of things here at the beginning. If you haven't listened to one of our top 10 episodes, standard format with one new addition. So we're going to talk about our top 10 from 10 to 1. And we're going to talk about honorable mentions, sort of things we either didn't finish or, maybe just got kicked out of the top 10. We're going to honorably mention them. And then best game of last year this year. So, some of the hottest games that came out in 2011 that we just didn't get time to play. We'll talk about them because we finally got around to them this year.
Yep.
And then finally, this top 10 was pretty hard to do this year. It was a pretty tough year gameplay, game playing wise for everybody, and number of games for us were pretty low, pretty much across the board. So we're going to talk a little bit about games we missed. So pretty much, acknowledging these big games came out and kind of ran out of time.
I'm still adding that list as we speak.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a pretty big list, but a little different from honorable mentions, but at least want to throw some shout outs there to some games and say, you seem great, but it's
Wish I
not
had
you,
the
it's
time.
me. So without further ado, let's get into our top 10. Knobs, what is your top 10 starting at number 10?
All right, starting at number 10. I think right now I had to pick a game I played probably the most this year since procuring it. For me, it's Luminous Electronic Symphony.
Yep.
Yeah, even though it's a known quantity, the game came out years ago, the same game, but it sucked so much of my time. So much, and made my Vita just a beautiful thing to play.
Well, and
But
it's a really good show of that screen too. Like, it's one of those great launch games where it's like, this is the hardware. Boom.
yep, I cannot think of a better tech demo than Luminous.
Yep.
Because it looks fantastic.
And it's fun to play.
That it is, since I'm scared to find out how many hours I've literally sunk into that.
It's better if we don't know.
It's absurd. You're coming up, number 9. A game that kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. Kind of got swept into all the hype and that was going around with not only just the game release and the community of us at large is SSX. Because I had a lot of fun playing that while I was playing it. I kind of feel bad because I never really got back into it. The kind of high score and achievement hunt a little bit in it just kind of got sucked away. But the time I spent with it, I had a lot of fun. All right, number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so the reason it's on the list, I need something to kind of round it out a little bit. It's a game, an open world Spider-Man game that works really well, and I had a lot of fun with it. The same thing along the same veins as Web in Time, predecessor to this one, like the kind of one they got out real quick. Kind of felt like half a game, and this felt like the other half of the game. So I put those two together, and I got a really awesome Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
So, voice acting is handled really well. The character movements just are phenomenal. It's a really great looking Spider-Man game. Number 7 for me is Mass Effect 3.
Aha.
It is. It had a very high watermark for me personally to live up to 2. which I think a lot of it came into is I had the perfect Mass Effect 3 already played out in my head, and it wasn't how this played out with all the Deus Ex Machina
Yeah.
shenanigans at the end. And I just kind of wish it would have been Shepard just wrecking the world and just being awesome.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite turn out that way. But on its merits, the great characters had some very, very moving segments to it that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
I.e. the Morden bit,
Yeah.
which, like, oh, just it was because that happened so early in the game. I was like, this is gonna be the greatest game ever, and it just felt like just a slow downturn from that. Like it hit a high note really quick. I
Yeah.
think it peaked a little too early.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was still a very, very solid game and concluded a very good series. Number 6, I have Dishonored, which I've been spending a lot of time with recently. Haven't
Hmm.
finished as of this recording, but I plan to finish that soon because I really like the look of that world and the little bit of little powers you have in first person. I'm still not a fan of sneaky sneaks, but
Yeah.
I am getting better at sneaky sneaking, and the razor wire it just merit alone for being on a list. The spring razor wire is just the coolest thing. Just a little little whippy, and just people are just flailed.
Yeah.
Um, moving right up the list, number 5, Batman: Arkham City.
Ooh.
Yeah, because that game's really, really, really solid. I wish it would have been. I think I could have been high if if Arkham Asylum hasn't existed. This is just
Right.
pretty much an expanded world of Batman. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the few things where you can actually say like, why is this game awesome? Because you are Batman. You're Batman. It's all it is.
Yep.
You're just Batman with all the toys, unhinged violence in it. Just it's just the crazy characters. Like everything's done with such care in that world, and I love it to death.
And it's
I
nice
really
to see that we have another good Batman game finally.
yes.
You know, we didn't just get one.
Oh, it wasn't a fluke. Good
Yeah.
for you. It was Rocksteady, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for you guys. All right, apparently my dogs are upset about that being so low.
How dare you?
Number 4, probably one of my most anticipated games from last year is Darksiders 2.
Mm.
I really enjoyed this game. I think it fell a little short at the end for me personally because I think Darksiders 1 probably had one of my favorite video game endings of all time.
Right.
I don't think it could have lived up to what I was hoping it was going to be, but damn, did that game play good.
Yeah.
Mechanically, just perfect. Aesthetically, even better. Just probably one of those games that I will like show off for forever. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, simply like it's one of those games that's always going to be recommended to
Yeah.
people. Darksiders 2, Lords of Shadow. Oh my god, like those games, like just so deep in my wheelhouse, and I love them so much.
That's some quality character action business.
It doesn't get any better. Plus, there's so much stuff you can spend time doing in that world, and it's just gorgeous to look at.
Hmm.
Traversing it is just every bit as good as the combat in that game. Love it. One of my favorites. That's why it's up in the top 5 for me. Number 3, probably the game that I probably would have picked as my number 1 if other things hadn't happened this year. Is Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
Borderlands 2 is just more Borderlands and more better Borderlands and more raid boss Borderlands.
Hmm.
It's I've literally spent the last week raid bossing
Hmm.
just to collect better loot. I never remember doing that in the first game except for Cromaraxin, and we did that a lot.
Hmm.
But it feels like more a bit of an obsession in this game. And every time I get out, it just starts drawing me back in. Like even this morning, like I woke up this morning, like I had Borderlands in the tray, and it's just like I really should play Dishonored, but it's already in there. And I'm sure I'm gonna have some friends that are playing, and we're gonna have some loot we're gonna have to go get.
Hmm.
let's just do that. 'Cause, I mean, we started I was power ranking people, which is awesome, power
Hmm.
level. But just trying to get those rare drops, like, just feels fantastic. Like, I still got that the one of the drops from Pyro actually has a grenade that spits out other grenade while it spins like a carousel, spitting fire. It's
Jeez.
the grenade I've ever seen in my life. You throw 5 of these things out, and you've unleashed hell. It looks like a napalm just rode by and just carpet bombed the whole area.
Hmm.
It is the best thing in the world. I love that. I love that grenade. I will dupe it to you later. Uh, but yeah, it's just seeing that, like, I'm totally decked out in orange right now
Hmm.
because I'm nothing but harvest stuff. And granted, little shouts out to some you guys know who you are who dupe me some sweet weapons. So
Some,
it's all good. I've
some
been
big props.
great, been hoarding.
Hmm.
Just wait for that level cap to come to make it all worthless again. Um, but yeah, so that is my number three. Now this my top two. I've been flip flopping back and forth the last week, and I know this isn't going to be on anybody else's, let alone top two, let alone top 10 at this point. Number two, and when I was thinking about my top 10 here, I'm really trying to remember games that I absolutely gushed about this year,
Yeah.
and really two only came to mind to how excited I was talking about these games. Number two on my list is Syndicate,
Mm.
and it's not because it's just. Usually, I harp on games for not being a long single player story mode or action. This game just felt so good playing. It's it hit that perfect line of, shooter. Starbreeze did an excellent job. I just can't give praises for this. Um, it nailed that perfect line of an absolute perfect futuristic aesthetic, very very fun guns to play with. And every type of gun had its own little things, and not to mention delivered probably the best cooperative multiplayer, even though it's very limited in its scope, like 8 co-op maps, but gave you that carrot on the stick that made you just want to grind out because every time you upgraded a weapon, it got significantly better.
Hmm.
Just like in the like it kind of gave you that Ratchet and Clank itch. Like you just keep leveling, it gets more and more ridiculous to the point where it looks like a 357 Magnum, the whatever bone saw cuts. It is the coolest thing in the world with a handgun. Oh, I just split a guy in half with one shot.
Mm.
It doesn't get much better, and it just has this really, really snappy and sharp controls that I just crave that. Just precision shooter. It's just outstanding. Everything takes damage well. Nothing felt like an overly damaged sponge. Um, and just the hacking mechanism, like breaching through different layers of armor, just added like another section of intensity to the game, and another thing you can work on, and like a skill, like an active reload,
Hmm.
that to a shooter that just maybe it didn't need it, but oh wow, is it welcome. So that's gonna be my number two game, and the one that has bumped up, now that my coup de grace here, it literally jumped up to the top of my list last night. Is Asura's Wrath is my game of the year.
Wow.
Literally my one of my favorite games I think I've ever played. I haven't played it in a while, and like roughly out of direction just from talking with Mackie from No Quarters, just talking about just how ridiculous the game is as far as what's actually happening and what your character's actually doing. Um, Really starting to, then all of a sudden it started percolating in my brain. I was like, man, I really, really love that game. And I remember talking about it just on the demo aspect of it as the most amazing things I've ever played. 'Cause I played the demo a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and I played through the game a lot. And I started getting back into it after talking with Mackie about last week. I started playing through it again, and then I got a message from him last night. It's like, dude, you need to download the DLC levels. I was like, okay, I'll do that. I downloaded them all. The Street Fighter integration thing was hilarious and it's possible. And yeah, man, you mess up the moon bad. Uh, through both Ryu and Akuma. But the levels that actually give the game an ending are what really cemented this in my mind as my favorite game I've played this year because it blew me away.
Hmm.
Just absolutely blew me away. As much as the Deus Ex Machina stuff from Mass Effect 3 really rubbed me the wrong way, picture that scenario simplified and make it awesome.
Wow.
Like, there's no moral judgment of what I should and shouldn't do. You made my little girl cry. I'm gonna punch God and end existence. Like, it's the best thing I have ever done in a game.
Yeah.
Not just because I mean aesthetically it looks. I mean, granted, the look of that game is just out of this world and just so perfect for what it is. I wish the game shipped with these levels on it because I think this game would be higher up in a lot of people's more higher up in more people's list.
Hmm.
Because it hit all these story notes so quickly. The whole sacrifice, and you actually understand really why he's so upset and why he fights with such rage.
Yeah.
Like stuff is flushed out. It's a shame it's in DLC. It's totally worth it. And what happens at the end with the creator and what happens to it is probably one of the coolest looking bosses. Like it's end of Ava epic,
Wow.
and it's just something that just wow. Like I played it last night. And I couldn't put it down. It just added so much to that game, and just made it. Wow. And as a whole rounded experience, as playing through the game and getting back up to that point again and having this as a capstone really made this probably the most fun I've had in gaming this year by far.
Wow. Well, I'll definitely have to play that over Christmas break then.
I definitely the extra levels because they are just
Yeah.
would probably the Street Fighter ones unless you really get into the game. I'd imagine after you play the last 4 episodes because it adds like almost a quarter of the game.
Oh, wow.
Like I think it's 4 episodes after 18. Yeah, it's a 24 6. No, because you have 19 is the true ending. 18 2. Whatever it is, it's weird.
It's a handful.
What adds a full of levels at the end that put everything in perspective and it just looks amazing.
Wow.
I just what happens at that point, and you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Even totally should have, but it's amazing. Top game for me forever.
Wow. Well, let's move on to my list then. I just noticed while you were talking, I noticed I had made a mistake on my list, and I had included a game from last year. But I believe this game is good enough to be on my 2012 list, and I'm not redoing it because we're recording right now. So, with that in mind, it's very much an indication that I took all the games I played this year, and I threw them in a pile, and I looked at them a couple days later, and I went, that looks like a top 10. Okay. So this is very much a gut-based top 10. So, number 10, Forza Horizon. This was a game that I think you could have messed up, and I think it could have sullied the Forza name pretty easily by making what it could have been was a pale imitation of the Test Drive Unlimited series, saying let's take this specific area, let's map the entire thing, and let's sort of turn you loose and make a bunch of events all across it. And I felt like they really kept the spirit of Forza. I think they really kept the love of the cars, and I think they allowed you to sort of tune your experience how you wanted to. If you wanted a super hardcore driving experience, it's still in there. If you want the car to mostly drive itself and just want to have a lot of fun, that's still in there too. And the ridiculous amount of stuff in this game and the ridiculous amount of stuff to find is It's just a great game. It is at its core a really great driving game, and good on them. So
Good on them. High
good on them.
five.
Number 9, Fez. Um,
Yeah.
I have a love of Fez for.
Guess what I'm adding to my list.
There you go. I have some sort of love of Fez. I think it has a lot to do with the music, and I think it has a lot to do with the aesthetic. That there's something about it that really really resonated with me. The puzzles are great, and the story is interesting, and it's kind of funny. The pixel art, pixel/voxel art is really good, but there's something about the whole package as it came together that I really, really enjoyed, and I don't know if I could put my finger on a specific thing, but the whole thing, and especially the jokes when you sort of start the game and restart the game. It's just everything about it just kind of clicked for me. So that's my number 9. Number 8, Diablo 3.
Oh my god, how did I not put that on there?
So Diablo 3, just like Mass Effect 3, is a really tough game. It's a really good game that maybe didn't necessarily live up to everybody's expectations, nor probably could it really, if we want to be honest.
I don't know. After they delivered with StarCraft 2,
that's true. But I personally feel that there's a lot of hate for Diablo 3 that may be a little excessive, a little extreme for a game that is good. It's maybe not great, especially if you're a super hardcore Diablo 2 player, but for the majority of people, it's a good loot game surrounded by a kind of dumb story. But at its core, it is it's still the Blizzard Diablo great loot game. And I think, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I wish I had finished it. I mean, at least because it seems like it came up in a time where I just kind of got lost in the shuffle, like so many games did.
Yeah. So number 7 on my list, Mass Effect 3. Pretty much for the same reasons you were saying. I mean, Is it
number 7 on yours too?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It is a really good game that maybe had some problems because it follows 2. And I know both Knobs and I are huge fans of Mass Effect 2. So, it improves a lot of stuff. It looks better. It has, the shooting is way better.
Yeah.
But it's hard to finish a story when people are so invested in their story. So, I feel like we're a lot warmer on Mass Effect 3 than probably a lot of people are. I expect to see Mass Effect 3 in a lot of disappointment lists this year. But
I couldn't do that.
It's a good game, and I had a lot of fun with it, and it's a number 7.
It seemed like the emotional swell that series built in 2 just didn't transfer into 3. I don't know what it was, because I felt so emotionally charged at the end of 2.
Yeah. So it's a shame, but at its core, still a good game, still a fun game. So that's a number 7. Number 6, Dust and Elysian Tale. Another one for your list.
That's right.
This is, without a doubt, one of the finest Metroidvania games produced. Period. Not of the last couple of years, not on XBLA. Period. It is made by one dude that loves the genre, that did it right. And it is, without a doubt, an incredible game, and a game that really takes chances with its stories, and really takes an influence that we typically don't see in games, and makes the story surprising, and makes it a tale that's seems kind of dumb at the beginning, truth be told, but when you get into it, has great characters and has a pretty good twist about 3/4 of the way into it, and it's just a fantastic game. If anybody is interested in Metroidvania games or loves them, you can't pass this game up. And it's absolutely one of the best of the year, and one of the best Metroidvanias out there. Period. So, go play it. Number 5, FTL, Faster Than Light. This should seem an obvious one. Maybe not, the best made game, but a game that was made by two dudes with a lot of love, and is one of those rare games where you get to make your own story. The number of times I've come on the show ever since it came out and told, what happened to my ship and what happened in my story. We don't always get enough games like that outside of, popular multiplayer shooters where you have your story of what happened in that match. But being able to go out into space and play a game that is a little bit mean, is a little bit tough, but in that sort of fun way of, man, I can't wait to tell you how I died. I can't wait to tell you how I got screwed by this game and how my ship exploded. And we just don't get enough of those. And to get a high-quality one and to make an accessible roguelike like this is definitely to be celebrated. So I can't recommend that game enough. Number 4 on my list, Borderlands 2. I think it was also number 4 on your list.
It's 3.
3, okay. Pretty much what you said. It's more Borderlands. Yeah. And, Knobs and I had a bunch of conversations leading up to the recording of this episode about, whether or not we could realistically give this the game of the year. I mean, whether or not we could say, this is our game of 2012. And it's tough because Borderlands 1, of course, was
a game changer.
Absolutely. And a game that surprisingly nobody has really copied. But when you look at Borderlands 2, it does everything more and better. There's more guns, there's more areas, more quests, there's more stuff to do, there's the characterization of everybody is better. There's a lot of little things in the game and in the gameplay that's better and smoother and easier, but at its core, it's still Borderlands. And that's a really, really great thing, but that's not a number one thing. And I want to make clear to everybody that's listening, I don't want them to reinvent Borderlands. I want Borderlands 3 to come out and be more Borderlands 2 with extra stuff.
With more care. The characters are what make this so high in my list too.
Yep, and genuine humor. Genuine, actually funny video game humor. So I'm not punishing Borderlands 2 for being more Borderlands. I'm celebrating it for being more Borderlands because that's what we wanted out of Borderlands 2. We didn't want, suddenly it's a third-person puzzle game. I don't want that. I want to be in this world, and I want to be back with these characters, and that's a good thing. So that's a number 4 thing this year. Number 3, Zero Escape 2, Virtue's Last Reward. Probably pretty much a given, especially recently. But we get so few visual novels here. And many of them are either adult or so anime influenced that they're hard to recommend for more than just a specific niche audience. So to get one that comes out on both the 3DS and the Vita, and it's so well voice acted and it's so well translated and tells such a story that demands the player to pay attention and demands you to be there the entire time, and then hits you with a lot of information and hits you with a lot of very serious topics and doesn't treat you like an idiot is incredible. And to have a game have as many, without spoiling anything, as many twists as it can and as it does in the end, to just completely blow your face off with surprise is really, really incredible. After, 30 hours, the game can still surprise you like that and surprise you on the back of what came in the first game. Such an amazing game, and proof. I think proof positive that um, visual novels really can make it in the U.S. You have to treat them with respect. You have to treat them seriously. So, highly, highly recommended. Number 2 is my game that I screwed up on, but it's good enough that it might be in 2 years. Saints Row the Third. I didn't play it until this year, so it technically should be 2012's 2011 Game of the Year, but
Yeah.
who cares? Because it's one of the
It's
best games of this generation.
Yeah, probably the
Um,
best games I think I've ever played.
I can't recommend it enough for everybody. Another game that is genuinely funny because it knows it's dumb, and it calls itself on being dumb, and then celebrates it by saying, well, that was pretty dumb. Let's do something way, way more stupid. And not only that, but the actual game, the actual gameplay is really fun to play. It's this kind of crazy, loose but precise, almost perfect combination of we want to make it fun and we want to make it easy to play, and then we want to make it a good game. And I don't know who they had to make a pact with, so what sort of devilish entity they had to make all of this stuff come together, but whoever they did, thank you, because it's one of the best games this generation, and at the same time one of the dumbest.
Yeah, I can't. I would if that game that came out this year, it would probably be my number one by miles.
Yeah. So everybody that can play it, you need to go pick it up. So if anything, I need to put that PSA in this episode. So my number 1 game of the year is probably not going to be anybody else's number 1 game. That is Darksiders 2.
Really?
Really. This game has everything. And I still don't completely understand why I put this on number 1, but every time I look at it at the top of my list, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, Darksiders 2. Yeah. And I think it's a combination of taking what Darksiders did really well and speeding up the combat and giving you a more agile character, and also giving you another interesting character, because War is a really interesting character, but Death is also really, really, really cool.
Yes.
And then giving you slapping an RPG system on top of that actually genuinely worked and added something to that game, and adding a loot system that actually made a difference. Instead of saying, oh, well, this one is skinned a little bit different from this one. No, you're actually gathering and then making or feeding items and making them better. It's just, and then giving it the two halves of the game, the green and lush and beautiful area, and then giving it the other side of it, the Joe Mad sort of typical area where it's skulls and dark and hellish, and making both of those incredibly good looking and just making a beautiful game and making one that's so full of so much stuff. Graphics are great, music is great, voice acting is spot on. Whoever does Death's voice needs to do a lot of stuff, because that's an amazing voice. And then,
I mean, the only person that I think had come close to the Death's performance is Robert Carlyle, which is a professional actor in Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, so sitting in pretty good company, and just making a game that is just hits the right notes at every turn, and I couldn't stop playing until I was finished with it, and it's incredible. And I don't know how to correctly articulate how much I love this game, but I loved it, and it's one of my favorites of this generation. And
I can't argue with that. But, I mean, I would see that on my top of my ESET signature just updated.
Oh, hey.
I mean, I would see it. It just, I got no problem with that. It's just a great game.
Yeah.
Like, I had a weird thing with the VGAs the other night. Like I didn't have a problem with anybody that was nominated. Like
Yeah.
even the games for like the last decade, I was like, I don't have a problem with any of
Yeah.
those.
All of these things are pretty okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are our top tens. So as usual, a little bit different from probably the most of
Everybody.
the top tens that you'll be seeing, and it's nice to see that our top tens are pretty different. But let's move on to honorable mentions here. Knobs, why don't you hit yours?
All right, honorable mentions for me are Dance Central 2.
Mm,
I mean, it's more Dance Central. I mean,
yeah.
it's right where whatchamacallit, right where a sequel should land.
Yep.
The most honorable mentions. Um, we'll follow right along. Ultimate Marvel's Capcom 3.
Mm, that's right.
Because I still really like playing that game, even though I barely play it anymore.
Yeah.
God, I got another one in here.
But with that game, I feel like they really came out with a game that they wanted to come out with in the first
Yeah,
place. They
that
really,
they fixed it.
yeah, they tightened it up. They resolved some of the issues. They sort of buffed out the rough spots and kind of said, well, here it is. Enjoy.
Yeah, easily. Another one I didn't get to spend much time with. I really like Lollipop Chainsaw.
Mm,
I really liked what I played with it a lot. Um, I just haven't had time to really sit down and power through it.
hasn't been a
Uh,
priority.
Hey, no, and it hasn't grabbed me either. Like you get that sweet spot in that game where you're like, all right, I'm going. I need to see where this goes.
Yeah.
It didn't really hit that for me in the first 20, 30 minutes that I played it.
Yeah.
So shame it got set to the side, but whatevs. Cinemora is a game that's just phenomenal all the way across the board.
Yeah.
For a shmup, it's outstanding and a little different shmup. The little time manipulation and actual time restriction on the levels and your arsenal and the look of the game is outstanding.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful game to play. Diablo 3, a game I wish I had finished because I'm sure it would have been on my top 10. Yeah, like again, like you said, it's more of that, more of what you want from Diablo.
Yeah.
And as far as making a story Diablo that's going to be a game changer is I think at this point next to impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep releasing stuff at quality that this is, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And then DOA 5 because it's bat poops crazy.
Yeah. That's my list.
And that's all I can say. I mean, that's the games I really want to play. Wait till you see this laundry list of games that I totally missed this year.
Yeah.
But that's right up there.
Well, my honorable mention starts off with XCOM Enemy Unknown. I made it to one of the big story missions at the beginning of it, and kind of just didn't get back to it. Not for any good reason. Like I keep putting it in and being like, well, okay, I'll pop into that, and then sort of going, well, maybe not right now. I think what I really need is a couple hours to sit down with it and chew through it at a time. Number 2, Torchlight 2.
I didn't even touch it. I was planning on playing that too.
Yeah. It is fantastic, but I am nowhere near the level of finishing it that I would want to put it on my top 10. If I had finished it, I'm more than sure that it would have gotten on my top 10. It's fantastic. As a pure, unadulterated, uncut loot game, without any story trappings or anything, it's pretty much the perfect, loot horror game. It just has no frills. Third one, Pinball Arcade. Not a game that we played a lot, but I think it deserves mention for them, I feel, finally making the game that they wanted to make. So it's on Android, it's on iOS, it's on XBLA and PSN, and not only is it a la carte, so you just buy whatever tables you want, but they've been expanding the table list on that by at least 2 tables a month. So I feel like they finally got what they wanted to get, a platform for putting out, digital pinball recreations. And I have to give them a lot of credit because, they're the best ones I've played. And
Yeah.
they've gotten all the tables you love.
And
So,
I think that's kind of what they wanted to do with the Pinball Hall of Fame,
mhm.
the Williams collection, because they literally built a virtual arcade in that
Yeah,
game.
yeah, and I feel like that was their first step, and then they said, "Look, we can do it. We're doing it right now. Let us do it with every table." So
Yeah.
hopefully they get there. Number four, Sir's Wrath. You know, only a little bit into it, but by God, is it great! And
I cannot wait.
I will be finishing it shortly. Number five, Final Fantasy 13-2. A game that just missed the top 10, even though it was fantastic, and it's, ever since 12, it's some of the most fun I've had with Final Fantasy, and it for me successfully turned the ship around on Final Fantasy 13. They realized their problems, and they're on the path to fixing it. So I think they deserve a little bit of recognition for that. Number six, SSX. I have been begging for this game pretty much ever since the podcast started, and ever since SSX 3 came out. And they did it right.
Yeah.
Even with, the original terrible Spike VGA trailer, and even though I was trying to hold out hope the entire time and still sort of tamping it down at the same time, they did it right. And I didn't spend nearly enough time with that game to really squeeze as much as I wanted out of it, but good on them. You did the core 3 games of the franchise right, and you get a lot of credit for that, because it was probably pretty tough. And the last one, DOA 5, for the exact same reason. It's just crazy, and it's still DOA. I good. Thank you for bringing out more.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's what I wanted. So checked all those boxes. So let's move on to best game of last year, this year. Knobs, what do you?
I got 3.
Oh wow, okay.
First, I got to mention DC Online.
Oh yeah.
Just because, not only because it came free to play, but I actually had a chance to really explore that world and had a lot of fun playing in that game.
Mm.
Not only to have an amazing character creator, but just the freedom you had creating your character with the powers and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it a lot. My second one, Renegade Ops.
Oh yeah.
Probably one of my favorite dual stick shooters I've played in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the coolest games I've ever played. Thank you, Sega. Make more.
Yeah.
And my favorite game from last year, this year, is Shadows of the Damned.
Oh,
I cannot
right.
remember. This game I had so much fun playing because it is totally grasshopper crazy. I loved it. Just the utter ridiculousness of the main character. Not only is he decked out in tattoos and he's got a talking gun that sounds like Wheatley.
Yeah.
It's just the coolest thing I've ever seen. It had a lot of fun, and not only did it have very, very satisfying gun mechanics and crazy play style.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my tops of last year, this year.
Nice. Mine, obviously, Saints Row the Third.
Yes.
But my best game of last year, this year, is Skyrim. Played it at the very, very, very beginning of this year. I think my first achievement was January 2nd. And I get it. I get it now. Why everybody loves the Elder Scrolls games. And it's really you making your character inhabiting this world as you see fit. And just having an incredible amount of stuff to do, and all of it is really, really high quality. And the story that they told in the game was actually really good. Sometimes with, either open world games or non-linear RPGs, they can sort of fall on their face like that. But actually a really interesting, really involved, and kind of fascinating story. And I haven't even played any of the DLC yet, which is probably going to be coming up the end of this year, beginning of next year. But I totally understand why everybody was head over heels with Oblivion, and this game stole probably a couple of weeks of my time, and it's totally worth it. It's one of
I
probably one
got
of the best
another one.
games. Mm,
P4 Golden for me.
there you go.
That's got to be an honorable mention.
Yep.
But it's still fascinating to me.
Yeah, I decided not to put it in my list because I think I recognized Persona 4 for one of the games of the year when it came out. And it is different enough that I probably could put it on the list, but man, that is a hell of a game. That was playing up until this second that we were recording.
Yeah.
So, just it's a testament that I've finished that game twice and I'm going in to play it again and just loving it as much as I have before. So, but last but not least, looking forward into 2013 and a sneak preview of 2013's 2012 games of the year. Let's talk about the games we've missed.
All right. Well, I'm starting right off the top. Mario Party 9. 'Cause I cannot believe I missed a Mario Party game. It just still shocks me.
That was on the Wii, right? That wasn't Wii
Yeah.
U? Okay.
Yeah, it's on the Wii, but I don't know. I might play it. I probably won't.
Yeah.
But it's a game I'm kind of sad I missed. Tribes Ascend. I totally have to play this game.
Yeah.
I just cannot believe I forgot. I just didn't even have a chance. Next up, Sleeping Dogs. Another game I really wanted to play.
Yeah.
Just didn't seem to quite have the time for it, or kind of got in my backlog of things that I just didn't get to.
Yeah.
In the same vein, Assassin's Creed 3. I haven't even touched yet. That's another one. One that came out this week that I'm completely excited to play is Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
Like, just watching all the trailers and stuff again last night, I'm like, I can't wait to play this thing because it looks like Far Cry 1.
I mean,
Like, it's just...
And if anybody's interested in it, don't know why it's so interesting, just watch the intro.
Yes.
The whole thing, like, as you escape from the prison. It's amazing.
The voice acting seems unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right along that line, Hawken. I missed Hawken, the game that's been in development for forever, and I missed it. It finally came out. Oh, well, where'd it go? I don't know. It's Hawken. XCOM, sitting on my shelf right next to my 360 right now. Haven't even put it in yet.
It's a really good game.
I know. I'm totally looking forward to playing it. Same thing with Dark Souls. Dark Souls never even made it out of the cellophane yet.
Yeah.
It's just one of those games I bought because I knew it wasn't going to be around long.
Yeah.
But I want to play it. And the trailer for 2 looks awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
And probably the ones I missed the most of are the downloadable games. I missed Fez, Dust and Elysian Tale, and The Walking Dead, which I'm probably just going to pick it up when it comes out in the Computium or whatever it is.
Yeah, the retail release.
The retail release of it.
Yeah.
I will pick it up on there.
Nice. Mine's Syndicate. I cannot believe I've not yet gotten a Syndicate. I think it's with me in California right now. I don't think it's in the Master Collection, so I just need to crack that thing open, and I did my part and paid for it. I just need to now do the other half and start it.
Play it.
Far Cry 3 for all the reasons we were just talking about. Sleeping Dogs, apparently it's a really great open world game, so how can you pass that up? Dishonored, haven't even started that yet. Really want to play that. Just need to carve out a couple hours for it. Dark Souls, love Demon Souls. Haven't even started on Dark Souls. Who knows if I'll ever get the time to, but it would be nice. Batman Arkham City, played maybe an hour of that, and that's kind of a crime. I need to play through that game and pick up all the DLC and just kind of poop sock my way through it. And last but not least, The Walking Dead. Started it, and just haven't had a chance to really sit down and start chewing through those episodes, and I can't wait to play it, especially as it continues to get more accolades, seemingly every time I turn around. So
and on a little sidebar here, after watching the VGAs, one thing became, well, not only did they did a great job on the show this year, it actually was an enjoyable show to watch.
Yeah.
But on a sidebar from that is the reason why Samuel L. Jackson needs to be in everything.
Yeah. Take that as a template.
Inserting him in any game makes it instantly better.
Yeah. Oh, good times. So that's our lists. Hop on the forums, post your lists, and feel free to yell at us for whatever you think we did wrong. But it was a really tough year for games. For us, I know Knobs and I have been both sort of lamenting throughout the year that because of everything, we haven't had a chance to play as many games as we did. But I think the ones that we did play, it shows. Even though it was a rough year, it was still a really good year.
It was for us to have not only we had lists of games we missed that were bigger than our best of the year.
Yeah.
It's just and looking out to 2013, it's going to be another crazy year.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep. So email us, tweet us, all that good stuff, and we'll be back next week with our predictions for 2013 and going back and looking at the hilarity of 2012's predictions and maybe seeing where we went wrong. So we'll see you all next week.
Later. Happy holidays.
All right. Go ahead and save that one, and we're going to start a brand new one here. And I'm going to stop recording.